Why is it now okay for the United States Soccer Federation to have two coaches, one coach of the U.S. women's national team, one coach of the U.S. men's national team, with this vast disparity when it comes to pay? Hello, Sunshine. I'm Alexi Lalas, and welcome to the State of the Union podcast, where we look at the beautiful game on and off the field through the lens of red, white, and blue-colored glasses. This is a very special show, an interview with JT Batson, the CEO and the Secretary General of the United States Soccer Federation. I wanted to talk to him, and he certainly has been in the news, as has the United States Soccer Federation that he presides over, with the hiring of Mauricio Pochettino. We talk a little bit about that, but also some bigger picture issues, both on and off the field, as it relates to the United States Soccer Federation now and certainly into the future. I always enjoy talking to JT. He's a really interesting person in soccer right now, and I think he's gotten a real eye-opening experience when it comes to his leadership with the United States Soccer Federation. So, without further ado, I hope you enjoy our interview with JT Batson. All right, as promised, we welcome in JT Batson, the CEO and the Secretary General of the United States Soccer Federation. He's been in that position since 2022. I've been watching some of your interviews, and you have been making the rounds, given the big news with the hiring of Mauricio Pochettino. I wanted to make sure I included Secretary General, not to, it's CEO and Secretary General. Congratulations on both of those things. All right, listen, I don't want to get too much into the weeds, and you've talked a whole lot about the Pochettino hiring, and plenty of our viewers and our listeners have seen a lot of the information, so I don't want to regurgitate that. But I do want to ask you, even though you are not specifically in charge of the on-field that Matt Crocker is in charge of.
And we should all be grateful for that.
Exactly. But you do oversee everything. And so I want to ask you, why in this moment, and we are recording, some 630-ish days before the 2024 World Cup, why in this moment for you, and when I say you, I mean the United States Soccer Federation, is this the right hire to take us to the promised land come 2024?
Well, one, thanks for having me. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
And, we believe that 2026 is an incredible opportunity. Obviously, the world's coming to our shores, Canada and Mexico as well. We have an incredible chance to propel our sport forward, and a key part of that is going to be how the team plays in 26. And we were challenged from the start. Cindy Parlow-Cohn, our president and our board, challenged Matt and me and the team to say, hey, go find the best coach in the world to put us in a position for success in 2026. And we sort of scoured the world. We were planes, trains, and automobiles, going to meet people where they are and share with them our vision for the future and the opportunities to be successful here, as well as some of the challenges we had to make sure that people were in it to win it. And we landed the coach that we're most excited about in terms of bringing that to life. And so this is someone who's clearly been a winner. It's clearly someone who's a developer of talent, who's clearly been successful in multiple environments. It's someone who is here for the right reasons. And as you could tell from the press conference on Friday, is someone who has big ambitions, who understands the role ahead of him, and is excited to get to work. And so I'm excited to help him be successful.
All right. So as the CEO and the Secretary General, I appreciate you correcting me. I think I said 2024. Obviously, 2026 is on the horizon here. Yes, I watched the press conference, and he said, I think, all the right things, and they were kind of, surface. When you drilled down, and I know you used Matt Crocker, when you drilled down as to what Pochettino does specifically on the field, what was it that impressed you, and what was it that makes you think he is going to be able to do the same with this team individually and collectively leading up to 2026?
Sure. Well, one of the things that was important to us through this process was identifying someone who has been successful in multiple environments with different types of player pools, with different types of sort of resources, because as you know, in the national team, it's not entirely you have the players you have, but it is, it's not like you can go out in the next transfer window and, buy a, right back or insert
Mhm.
position. You have to make the most of what you have. And so someone who's a clear developer of talent, someone who can get people to go on a journey with them and get them to believe to go do big things, and someone who believes in a progressive, positive type of soccer, and someone who understands what the gig is. The gig is ultimately we got to win. We got to put ourselves in a position to be successful, but also someone who cares about the broader U.S. soccer landscape and wants to leave a legacy on that. And so we had to have someone who was a clear winner and a clear ability to get the most out of teams and players. Someone who's flexible, and someone who is someone that we all want to get behind. This has got to be someone not just for players, not just for the staff, but everyone in this country ultimately has to believe that this team is being put in the best position for success in 26. So we all get behind them as well, and they leave it out on the field that summer.
You've been very complimentary and respectful of Gregg Berhalter over the last week. I want to make sure, if Gregg Berhalter had a successful Copa America, gotten out of the group, and whatever had happened, it happened. Would we be still having this conversation right now? Was it all relative to the failure at Copa America?
Look, if Gregg took the team to the finals, someone else may be hiring him right now. And so these things can go a lot of different directions. And I think the ultimately, I've talked about this a little bit, but one of the sort of key attributes that Matt has brought to our sporting department is the idea that we're always ready for some sort of change in terms of a coaching staff, because you never know what's going to happen. You need to make sure you have a good understanding of what the global talent pool looks like. And so we're constantly refreshing lists of what things could look like for our senior men's and women's teams, as well as our youth national teams, assistant coaching pools, and so on. And so, that's a discipline that we need to have at U.S. Soccer forever, and we need to be great at it. And so, because you never know what tomorrow's going to bring, and so you need to be able to make sure that you're in a position to set a team up for success, no matter what. And that obviously is what we've done here.
All right. You are also in charge of the business of U.S. Soccer, and there's some really interesting business that was done with this hire. Rumored to be $6 million a year. But more interestingly than the number is how that number is being paid. You went out of U.S. Soccer, and credit to you for being creative and finding outside sources in terms of hedge fund billionaires, Kenneth Griffin over there from Citadel, and Scott Goodwin from Diameter, I think it's called. But why did you need to go outside to get this money? Does the United States Soccer Federation not have the money, in this case, if it is $6 million, the $6 million to pay a head coach?
Well, for U.S. Soccer to go do the big things we want to do, we ultimately need resources. And clearly, we're making record investments in our women's national team. We're building a national training center, the Arthur M. Blank National Training Center, first ever for our country, that's going to be transformative. We launched the Soccer Forward Foundation to ensure that soccer is the most accessible and impactful sport in our country. And of course, we're making record investments in our men's national team. We also want to vastly increase our resources for our youth national team, our talent ID programs, our coaching education, refereeing, sort of across the board. And that ultimately takes resources. And so we are going to be on offense, whether it's with our great commercial partners, obviously Warner Brothers, Discovery, Telemundo. On the media side, we've got sponsors of Nike, Coca-Cola, Volkswagen, and so on, who have been incredibly supportive of our efforts, not just with the coaching staff, but more broadly. And then philanthropic support is going to be a critical component of how we go do big things at U.S. Soccer. And so you should expect this to be a key part of our strategy going forward.
So are they asking for anything in return? And whether it's hedge fund billionaires that are giving money that is then being used to pay Pochettino, or the rumored $50 million from Arthur Blank. Do you feel now that the United States Soccer Federation is now beholden, in a certain sense, to these people that have given money, and some of them that are heavily involved in soccer and have a vested interest in the future of soccer?
U.S. Soccer is ultimately held accountable by every American soccer stakeholder there is. So whether you're a player, whether you're a coach, whether you're a referee, whether you or run a youth soccer club or an adult soccer club or own a pro team or everything in between, an athlete, a former athlete. That's who we're ultimately held accountable to. And U.S. soccer ultimately needs to be in service of them and helping them be successful, and for soccer to be the most successful it can be. And so accountability has got to be a core part of the culture that we have at U.S. Soccer, not just on the field, but also how we run the organization. And so building that high performance culture, building that sort of belief in going to do big things, and making sure we have exciting, ambitious plans that people want to invest in, whether you're a sponsor, whether you're a donor, whether you're someone who is investing in building a stadium or building fields locally or creating more soccer programming in your community. We need lots of people who are bought in, committed, and want to invest, and ultimately are here for the right reasons, which is to ensure that we're in the best position to go win big things and make sure that everyone who wants to play soccer can do so in the most positive, safe, and fun environment.
My last question relative to the Pochettino hire, $6 million a year. As well as I do, and we've lived it. We've been around over the last years with the screaming and yelling and the lawyers and the lawsuits and the equal pay fight in the actual courts, the legal courts, but also in the court of public opinion. And all of that was predicated on these women, when it comes to our U.S. women's national team, are doing the same job as the men and deserve to be paid on an equal basis. Why is it now okay for the United States Soccer Federation to have two coaches, one coach of the U.S. women's national team, one coach of the U.S. men's national team, with this vast disparity when it comes to pay? And these two coaches are coaching within the United States Soccer Federation at the highest level of the teams within the United States Soccer Federation. Why is that okay now?
Well, we're really excited about the historic investments we've made in our women's national team program. Obviously, Emma Hayes and that staff have done an incredible job in a very short period of time. And Matt Crocker and Gooch and full team deserve a lot of credit for creating the right environment there, and attracting obviously one of the world's great coaches across the board to set that group up for success. And obviously, Emma and team have done an incredible job in delivering what was an awesome summer and a gold medal that we're all incredibly proud, and we're excited about what's in store going forward. Obviously, it's a young team and a group that has a lot in front of them, and I know Emma and the staff are excited about our upcoming games in Austin and Nashville and Louisville. So hope to see folks there, and of course, as we shared, we're making record investments across the board. And one of the things that is unique about our organization is, the success of the men's national team helps drive what we can invest in the women's national team, and the success of our women's national team helps drive what we can invest in the men's national team, as well as our youth national teams and our extended national teams. As U.S. Soccer is the world leader in disability soccer. We have more disability national teams than anyone else. And so the economic engine of those are our women's and men's national teams. And all of anyone who buys a ticket, anyone who sponsors us, anyone who gives us money, you're supporting all of that. And of course, to do that, we need to make sure those teams are put in the best position to be successful, which we're doing. And also, as Emma was our chief recruiter in this process. Emma was an incredible sort of motivator of making sure Matt and I kept at it, and as well as behind the scenes making calls to Mauricio and folks around why someone should be excited about joining U.S. Soccer and going to do the big things we want to go do.
Hold on, JT. Listen, we've been around a long time, and the Emma situation, I commend you and U.S. Soccer for using what you had at your disposal to go out and get Mauricio Pochettino. But I hear my listeners and I hear my viewers right now going, yes, but why is Emma Hayes not being paid the same as Mauricio Pochettino? And so that ultimately is the question that I'm asking you. And I know I'm playing a little devil's advocate here, but given the incredible history, especially over the last few years of what happened, I think it's a fair question to ask you. And when I say you, I'm asking the United States Soccer Federation. Is it not
Understood.
Hypocritical?
I think one of the things that we ultimately want to make sure that we've got the best staff to lead our teams going forward. And we've done that on the women's side, and they've proven it. And we're excited about Mauricio and team on the men's side. And obviously, they've got a great opportunity in Austin. And then second game against Mexico to start building that foundation and success for 2026. We also, as Emma is in a very long-term contract with U.S. Soccer, and we're investing very heavily in ensuring not just that she has the resources with the staff and everything around it, but the program more broadly to ensure that we're set up for success. Similarly, we want to make sure that Mauricio and his team are ready to go for 26. And so, for us, we want to make sure we've got the best people in those positions and give them the best sort of ability to be successful. And that starts at the top and making sure that we've got the best coaches. We're very, very happy with our folks from the women's side and the men's side, and excited to continue to go do big things together.
Commercial revenue when it comes to the United States Soccer Federation. Kudos to you and to your team over there for increasing it when it comes to the United States Soccer Federation, and some changes over the years, obviously getting away from Soccer United marketing and all that kind of stuff. And by all accounts, it's going to continue. And certainly with 2026 looming large, you look to generate more and more revenue. When you go out into the market, and this isn't me pitting you against MLS, but at times you are going after the same people out there. What is your pitch when you go out into the market relative to somebody supporting the United States Soccer Federation versus, let's say, MLS or NWSL or any other entity out there? Because you're in charge of making sure that you put the best foot forward for the United States Soccer Federation. What are you telling people out there as to what you can give them in return for their support?
So if we pull back, one of the 5 strategic pillars of U.S. soccer is to grow the soccer economy in the U.S. So that's not grow soccer, not grow revenue for U.S. soccer specifically, but to ensure the soccer economy in the United States growing, so that we can invest more in player development, we can invest more in infrastructure and coaching development, and referees, in fan experience, in jobs for our ecosystem. All of the things to ensure that soccer is vibrant in every community across this country. I mean, if you think about when I was growing up, the Atlanta Silverbacks, the A-League, and then USISL team, they played in an old high school football stadium, Memorial Stadium outside of Atlanta. And think about what professional soccer in this country looks like now. It's unbelievably different. We've come such a long way. It's so exciting. And so first and foremost, our job is to ensure that there is a plan for the American soccer economy to grow, and that we're doing everything possible to set that up for success. And there's lots and lots of positive stories there. There's lots to celebrate. Of course, we also have to pay our bills at U.S. Soccer, and the key part of that is our great commercial partners. One note: a number of our commercial partners at U.S. Soccer are also commercial partners of NWSL or MLS or USL, and so we certainly are doing lots of these things together. I think, as you know, and so many of your listeners know, sponsors are looking for different things with different sort of organizations, and they have different strategies for how they bring those things to life. And really, our overall pitch is, soccer is obviously can be the great unifier for our country. There are over 100 million Americans who are fans of our U.S. women's or men's national team. We have such an incredible run of huge things happening on our shores and across our sport more broadly. And U.S. soccer represents an opportunity for people to be a part of that. Soccer fans are younger, they're more tech savvy, they're more diverse than any other sports property. Well, that's America. That's where we're going. And so if you want to be a part of that, whether it's sponsoring U.S. soccer, whether it's sponsoring soccer more broadly, our job is to make sure that the overall soccer economy grows, and we're going to grow with it. We're very much in pie growing mode right now for soccer. Maybe one day we're so big we're fighting over who exactly gets what zero. But right now we all need to be working together on how we grow. And so that's our focus, and obviously lots to celebrate from that standpoint.
Well, speaking of growing, I'll give you an opportunity to toot your horn a little bit. I only have a couple more questions here. And you mentioned actually a little bit earlier with the Soccer Forward initiative. We mentioned obviously Emma and now Pochettino, and then also down in Atlanta with the new training center down there. For those that maybe haven't heard or want a little bit more detail, I guess my question would be, why did we need this? And how is this going to benefit American soccer, to your point, in terms of the mandate that U.S. Soccer has?
Sure. So, the Arthur M. Blank National Training Center will have lots of ways that it's going to benefit U.S. soccer and also sort of American soccer. I think, in a lot of ways, our National Training Center is sort of the physical manifestation of the new ambition of U.S. soccer. As you know, you've been around, a few more years than I have, but we'll say we're of the same era of American soccer for
I'll take it.
purposes
I'll
of
take it.
bringing your average age down. Exactly. I mean, remember what it was like as for kids, when we were kids, in terms of where soccer was in this country. We were talking about the A League or USISL a second ago. But there are all these reasons why soccer couldn't be successful. There are all these reasons why we couldn't do big things. And I think what we're trying to say now is screw that. Let's go do it. There are incredible opportunities to have to transform what soccer looks like. There's incredible opportunities for soccer to become the number one sport in this country. And to do that, we need to go do big things. We need to invest in infrastructure. We need to invest in people. We need to invest in our whole sort of economy and ecosystem more broadly, to make sure that we are set up for success for the long haul. So specifically for our National Training Center, we currently have no home. The U.S. Soccer has some offices in Chicago. We got no fields. We have nowhere for our coaches to coach. We have nowhere for our players to train. We have nowhere for coaches from the MLS or USL or NWSL or our great youth clubs across the country to come together and collaborate. We have no way for our U17 men's team to be at the same place as our full men's team, and for the 17-year-olds to look and see Christian Pulisic and what he's doing in the weight room. We have none of those opportunities. And so for us to make sure that we're putting our teams in the best position to be successful, but also our people and our whole ecosystem, that to me is what this is all about. And every week we learn of new use cases in terms of what we can do with this facility and how everyone's going to be able to benefit from it.
Look, I could talk to you for hours, and I don't want to keep you long, but if I have you here, I also have to kind of nerd out a little bit. And one of the reasons why I like talking to you is because I think you're smart, and I think you're interesting in the things that you say. And this isn't just me kissing your ass, because that's not the case with everybody in U.S. soccer. And there's plenty of people that believe that or the opposite when it comes to me. So let me nerd out a little bit here. The Open Cup situation, the craziness with the Open Cup situation. Do you believe that Major League Soccer, and again, this isn't me pitting you against Major League Soccer, because I think you recognize and understand and respect that MLS needs the United States Soccer Federation, the United States Soccer Federation needs MLS, as they do all professional leagues. But do you think that MLS, with their decision when it came to the U.S. Open Cup, do you think that they violated the PLS, the rules and the regulations that regard sanctioning for Division I, Division II, Division III that comes from the United States Soccer Federation? Do you think that they violated those rules by not participating or not fully participating when it comes to this latest version of the United States Open Cup? And do you think that that matters?
I think when we think about the Open Cup, it's an opportunity for us to celebrate all the growth in soccer in communities all across the country. And, we need to be on the front foot, and we at U.S. Soccer, and then we as a part of the U.S. Soccer family, need to use this as an opportunity to highlight all the incredible things going on in communities all over the country. When I was able to go to some early Open Cup games this year, and seeing the owners of these teams and seeing the fans come together around these exciting sort of games. And really, it was their chance to show the country, hey, here's what we're doing in this community, and here's how we're bringing soccer to somewhere that hasn't had it before. And to me, that's something we want to highlight. That's something we want to lean into. And so we need more of that, and not just through the Open Cup, but more broadly. And that's something that I think will be front and center as we march forward to U.S. Soccer, is making sure that we are collectively celebrating, the millions and billions of dollars really that are investing in infrastructure and jobs in communities, and, opportunities for kids like you and me when we were little to fall in love with the game. So we need more of that. We need to celebrate that, and we need to highlight that. Specifically as it relates to the Open Cup. Mm-hmm. This is something that for varying reasons had not been invested in for a long time. That your listeners know that, and that's something that we need to work together with folks all across the landscape to say, hey, how do we turn this into something on a go forward basis that brings to life the best of American soccer, that encourages more communities to invest in soccer and provide more opportunities, and to give fans a new opportunity to learn and fall in love with teams and players and coaches all across the country. And so to me, this needs to be very much around what are we doing going forward, and how do we make sure that this is something that people are excited about, and they can see the benefit, no matter who you are across the American soccer landscape, on why this is so important to the future of the growth of our sport, and the growth of our ecosystem, and why everyone should want to be a part of it.
Speaking of helping people, in the past, the United States Soccer Federation has helped financially the NWSL for many years, actually. Do you see the United States Soccer Federation in the future doing that with other leagues, or do you think that the leagues and the sport has grown where you don't have to do that anymore?
It's a really good question, and a big part of my time and our time is thinking through, how do we encourage more positive capital coming into our sport? I've referenced growing the soccer economy. It's probably the least, sort of discussed part of our sort of soccer discourse, but potentially one of the most important. And all of these things we want to go do, and I know sometimes you make reference to this online, and when people ask you questions, is this costs money, and so a big part of how we make things happen is making sure that we have the right investors. People view us as U.S. Soccer as great stewards of capital to drive big impact. And as we think about, going forward, we want to be in a position to very strategically invest in the growth of the ecosystem. And so, whether that's, investing in infrastructure like the Arthur M. Blank National Training Center, whether that's investing in digital infrastructure. So big investments going on right now around, how do we scale our talent ID network well beyond what can physically be seen in person? How do we invest in scaling the knowledge of coaches across the country? How do we invest in our Safe Soccer initiative and scaling sort of participant safety efforts? So there's a lot of infrastructure investment that we're doing. And then ultimately, a big sort of thing that we want to be able to focus on is how do we all get aligned across the ecosystem to continue to invest so that our market grows and that we all benefit from that. And so, what that exactly looks like in terms of partnerships or investment, or where U.S. Soccer focuses and where other folks in the soccer ecosystem focus, that's squarely in front of us in terms of things we're working on. But we are only going to do this if we're working together. We're only going to do this if we all can align on, hey, we got this really big vision of what soccer can look like in the future, and we all want to go on that journey together. And ultimately, it is going to take resources. So it's a great call out, and I'm glad we're actually having a discussion around this because it's not talked about enough.
Promise you, this is my last two questions, and you mentioned the future.
All good.
It's all fine and well to talk about 2026. And look, your responsibility, our responsibility, the Soccer Federation, the soccer community in general, our responsibility is to harness the power of 2026 and not have it come up and surprise us. And this ramp is going to get, real small very, very quickly as we go along. But the circus is going to come to town and it's going to leave town. What do you think that lasting legacy is going to be, both on and off the field, come the day after the 2026 World Cup? And for the United States Federation, the work that has to be done, but maybe it gets a little bit easier. What does that world look like after 2026 in U.S. soccer and in 26 and beyond?
So U.S. Soccer announced this summer the launch of the Soccer Forward Foundation, which is our 2026 legacy project. And usually legacy projects happen after a World Cup. We wanted to announce ours and ultimately launch ours before to be able to benefit from the ramp up and all the energy and excitement. When you ask, what does that look like? We want to make it to where every American can walk, ride their bike, or take public transit to a safe place to play soccer. We want to make it to where soccer is the most accessible sport in our country, to where anyone who wants to play has the ability to play, whether you live in a big city, small town, suburbs, or anywhere in between. Soccer has provided so much greatness for so many people and has the opportunity to impact communities and people in such positive ways. And we view 2026 and the launch of the Soccer Forward Foundation as our way to really accelerate that. And so we're excited about that. We're in the process of hiring our executive director for that, and we're excited about getting that off the ground. I also think that a huge part of the opportunity is, Americans, so many will experience world soccer for the first time. And as you know, experience a World Cup, particularly in person, it is one heck of a party. Mm-hmm. And wherever you are, I encourage you, whether you get into a game or not, you want to be there, you want to feel it, you want to experience it. People coming in from all around the world, it's just awesome. And so I think, the opportunity for people to fall in love with the game, the opportunity for people to fall in love with our team. As you know, we have a young team, we have a lot of potential. We got to ultimately deliver on that potential, which I know they feel that excitement and that opportunity. And of course, Mauricio and Jesus and our coaching staff do as well. So I think there's so much opportunity here, and we're very focused on making the most of it and ensuring that this is ultimately setting a new foundation for what U.S. soccer and what soccer in America can look like more broadly. One point on that is, if you remember '94, we didn't have MLS, we certainly didn't have NWSL.
Right.
Uh, if you fell in love with a game, well, where'd you go in August? Where could you go watch a game? And you can go to Memorial Stadium in DeKalb, Atlanta, which it's great if you're a high school football player. Less so if you wanted to see great professional soccer. Think about now all of the incredible stadiums, all the great teams all across the country. Soccer is so accessible on television now. You could eat, sleep, and dream soccer now in a way that you just couldn't. And so it's such an on ramp for people to experience our sport, to go play our sport, to go be a fan of our sport, and so all of these things are so materially different, and it's just an amazing opportunity, and why we wanted to put our team in the best position to be successful, as well as why we wanted to get ahead of things and launch the Soccer Forward Foundation ahead of time.
All right, let's end it here. And I'm going to end it the way I end all of my interviews, and that is with the same question. And that question is the best and the worst thing about American soccer. And I will tell you that, for example, a couple of weeks ago, we talked to Landon Donovan. It's easy to tell you that, for people to be honest and tell you what the best thing is. It's a little more hard when you say what the worst thing is. But, he immediately came out and said youth development. And so from your perspective, where you are, and you've been around soccer for a long time, the best and the worst thing about American soccer, and that's the American soccer ecosystem, that's the American soccer community,
Yep.
the American soccer culture.
No. Probably the best thing is, we have an opportunity to really go for it in a way that builds on the incredible work that so many people for so many years, whether they're volunteers in communities all across the country, whether it's, leaders of the professional leagues over the decades, or U.S. soccer, or all of the different sort of entities that make up our ecosystem, people have put us in a position to be able to really go for it. And that's really cool. If you think about, how far we've come, and you think about where we are and the incredible opportunity we have in front of us, I think our opportunity, our potential is so amazing. And I get asked a lot, "Hey, what surprised you since you've joined U.S. Soccer?" And I think the main thing is, I think the opportunity is bigger than when I realized, and when I started, and there's no way I would have taken this job if I thought there wasn't an opportunity. So there's so much opportunity in front of us. It's just a lot of work, and we're up for it. So let's go do it. So to me, that's the best thing. Is just what we have in front of us, and if we work together collectively, then we're going to pull off some really big things. And so I'd say probably the worst thing, in pretty much every room I'm in, one of the core topics that comes up is refereeing, and the one of the biggest challenges is, refereeing is not a positive environment for whether you're a 13-year-old starting out refereeing like I did, or you're someone who is trying to make a go at it. I think as a culture, we've got to get that right. And one of the things that, and I say this as someone who refereed at a decent level, I didn't fully appreciate the importance of great refereeing to facilitate great soccer until I stepped in this role. And I remember Kate Margraf fairly early on, it's like, "Hey, we got a real problem with refereeing and that holding us back." And I remember watching our U17s play in the CONCACAF Championship, which now they're playing in the World Cup here coming up soon, which is exciting. And it was so painfully obvious how the refereeing standards were holding back the style of play in terms of where our team was trying to go and what they were trying to do. Referee was fair, but it just wasn't recognizing the attacking style of soccer we were trying to play, and what the other team was doing, and so it really held us back. And so whether you're care about your 11-year-old who's out there and want to make sure they've got a fun, safe environment to play, and you need a great referee for that, or you care about the success of our national teams, that's something we got to get right, and it's something we're focused on. Obviously, as you know, we hired Carrie Seitz, who one of the great all-time referees, leader at FIFA on the refereeing side, who just joined us a few months ago, and she's really energized and excited to everyone have a positive experience around this, whether you're a rep, a player, coach, and everything in between. But that's something that we got to get right, and we're committed to doing it. But it's certainly not something that is a shining spot right now, which is why we're focused on a whole bunch of different initiatives to make sure that we tackle referee abuse, that we make this something where it's positive, an opportunity for people to be able to participate in the sport. Obviously, we love.
Well, from one referee to another, thank you for your service. And it is an eye-opening experience. I do think that it makes you better as whatever.
Absolutely.
If you're talking about soccer, if you're playing soccer, if you're just enjoying soccer, it gives you a completely different perspective. And to your point, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And you got to go do that work. So I really appreciate you coming on the State of the Union, talking about all these things. Like I said, I could have talked to you for hours, and hopefully we will get a chance in the future as we get closer and closer to 2026 to bring you back on the State of the Union, see where we are, both on the field with Pochettino, with Emma, and with everybody else. And by the way, all of our other national teams that I know you're responsible for, and we could certainly talk about those for hours and hours. And obviously leading up to 2026 off the field, what this nation that we both know and love becomes when it comes to soccer, and the power and the opportunity that you talked about when it comes to the 2026 World Cup. JT Batson, thank you, sir.
Good to see you. Thanks so much.
Okay, well, thank you for listening to that with JT Batson. I thought it was interesting in the way that he talked about things when it comes to what soccer is and what the United States Soccer Federation is, and maybe isn't doing going forward into 2026 and beyond. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and hopefully we can get him back here as we get closer to 2026, like I said, because there is opportunity, an incredible opportunity. And I think in listening to him answer those questions, I think he recognizes the opportunity, and he can only do so much. It's still a very, very big country, but they are trying to do big, bold things. And it doesn't mean that I have to agree with everything that they do, and it doesn't mean that they don't warrant criticism as we go on. But ultimately, I think that his heart is in the right place, and I think that he is working hard to do the things that he, and when I say he, the United States Soccer Federation, can do to help the game. Certainly needs a lot of help, and hopefully he gets that as we go forward into what is hopefully a bright future when it comes to American soccer. Let me know what you think, though. Send me in your questions, your comments, your concerns relative to this interview. I'm sure you're out there and you said, oh, you should have asked this, you should have asked that. And I tried to kind of meander and go around and hit as many different things as possible. And we didn't want to just focus on Pochettino because, as I said, I think a lot of you out there have already heard a lot of the information out there. And so I wanted to broaden it out to a lot of different topics out there. And I think we hit a bunch of them, but certainly there's others that we can hit in the future. All right. Hope you've had a wonderful week. Thanks again to Stu Holden for sitting in for me this week. I am in Mexico, and I will return with all sorts of stories to regale you. It's gonna be fun. But we will talk to you again next week. Keep reviewing and downloading and subscribing and doing all the different things you do when it comes to the State of the Union podcast. Keep smashing that button over there on the old YouTube thing. Smash it away. Subscribe, smash, two-fisted, punch over there on Spotify and all the different things that you do. Anyway, I'll talk to you again next week. So until then, my friends, size the